I think that's a really critical part of leadership, and particularly going after these kind of big, ambitious goals is at some point you just need to say, I am the type of person that does that, right? So we've spoken about mountaineering, for example. There are lots of other people out there in the world that have a huge number of years more experience than I do as it relates to mountaineering. But to be able to do that and to be able to become that person, you have to step into that identity, right? You have to say, I really enjoy doing this. I go out into the mountains regularly. I'm on this journey to climb different mountains on different continents. What else am I in that area other than a mountaineer? That's what that word kind
Yeah.
of means and what it kind of describes. I think that's been really powerful for me. And I think something which I'll
Yeah.
need to continue to do in my life to expand that.
If you want to take this to the world out there, what is the example, like a kind of identity that you have to or step into?
Again, it's a very good question. I think it may be overused. This idea of being a leader is it comes with an identity you to that requires you to act in a certain way. There is obviously all of the traditional ways that people think about leadership and leading from the front rather than leading from the back and supporting teams in that way. I think there's also things there about being able to make decisions and to be building up the muscle and building up the capability to make decisions that nobody else is going to make. That to me is a really big constituent part of leadership is acting, basically taking time to think over things, getting kind of space to be able to consider all the different options, making sure you talk to all of the different stakeholders involved in those decisions. But ultimately, it's being the person that says we're going to do this rather than doing this, and being confident in that vision. So I think to answer your question, I think assuming the identity of a leader is a really important thing to do. I think it's also something which is often hard to consider about yourself, because some people might consider you a leader in some areas, but you don't consider that yourself just because you don't necessarily feel the same way. So that's definitely part of it. I think a part of where we are as a business developing at the moment, and I think something which I feel is starting to be more integrated into things which I feel really resonate with my identity, is being a kind of convener as well. So bringing people together, not only to bring them together and say, this is what you should do, and playing that leadership role, but also how can you convene people to make them step into these leadership identities and to give them the confidence that they need to be able to effectively lead in their own lives. And I think that's certainly a kind of a next step development, really, is how do you go from developing yourself and ensuring you can lead people to really developing other people and developing the skills, capabilities, confidence that they need to be able to distribute that to more people. That, to me, that's where a lot of the kind of the impact comes from. Yeah, I want to help people do this in their own life, as well as obviously develop my own leadership abilities to be able to do that.